Hey there folks, Glenn with the Cactus Atlas on a windy day, about to explore Cedar Breaks National Monument. Gonna do a rim tour today. So we've done this, kinda did this before. A couple years ago I was up here, my very first visit here, and I said I'd come back, and here I am. I have some camp view business up in these parts, so that's why I'm fitting this in and making a video. Last time I was here, I did a hike. I stopped at one of the first overlooks and did a hike out to a beautiful point to get views, and that's where I ended it. And I believe if you continue along the rim, there are other points you can stop with other overlooks that I never saw, and therein lies why I said I would come back one day, and here to do that today. We're gonna keep it casual though. I don't think I'm gonna be doing a lot of hiking, but we're gonna pass on through and check this place out. If you've never heard of it, you kinda need to see it. I'm pretty sure there's elevation signs up here. I wanna say we're over 8,000 up here, maybe even more. And it's cold, it's chilly. It's almost like 11 in the morning, or it's past 11 in the morning, and it's barely 60 degrees. And you know, I've been filming out here in Utah for well over a week now, and nothing's come this close. I've not had something this nice and cool. I need to make note of this because there's a campground in here I'm gonna visit for a drive through this time, but I need to be camping up here, not down in the heat. This is where you wanna be. All right, we're gonna go into the information center here and flash my park pass, see what there is to see, and then we'll tour some of these rim stops. You can kind of see here's a map, which is what I want to get, and we're starting on this side, so that sign was right here, and we drove over here, and we're going to continue all the way around. All right, I showed my National Parks Pass. I'm gonna grab one of these, and I got the info I needed to do this properly, so I'm excited. This is gonna be fun. Poked in that little gift shop, a couple nice t-shirts. Noticing one thing, you could see, like I saw some hoodies in there, things in there. You could see all the national parks are like basically using the same clothes and printing different designs on them. I'm starting to notice that they have the same clothes, same designs, different printings on them, which makes sense, it's efficient. I'm a developer, so I know all about reusability. So that's a good example of that, I'd say. But anyway, I'm gonna go study on this, and we'll come up with our game plan here. I think I'm remembering a little bit from last time. I think this is where I did my hike. It's Spectra Point. I did not go to Ramparts. I went out to something called Spectra. I'll explain why, and then I'm gonna push that video because it's probably worth seeing it if you want a very unique perspective on what we're gonna see. And besides this amazing amphitheater you're about to see, I love the high elevation. The pine trees and just the lush green here in summer. I'm already out of breath. For real. One thing I remember, they have bristlecone pine out on some of those points like Spectra Point, and I remember it was pretty dang cool. Luckily the rim's right over here. We don't have a lot of hiking to do. Whew. All right, I think right over this rise, we should get our first views of Cedar Breaks. Oh my gosh, look at that. Woo! Now that, my friends, is a view worth seeking out. Holy moly. If I didn't tell you, I might trick you into thinking you're at Bryce Canyon for a moment. I see a proper overlook down there. I bet that's a better one than where we're at, but there's nobody here, so. This is even better than I remember. I know they caution you when you're over there not to walk too close to the edge. It can break, and it's very dangerous, as you can see. It's a straight drop down. All right, so the hike. Now I'm making B-roll. When I was here last time, I think there's an old cabin right over here. I might walk a little bit and see. But basically there's a trail and it takes you way up to the top of that, back down, out on that piece of land there. That should be Spectra Point. And from there, you get a really unique perspective on that. So that's really why it's worth doing that hike. And then you can keep going even further to another overlook that goes even further out. So you almost can kind of look back on this, is the key on that. That's why I like that. I had to descend this side of the mountains to go find a couple campgrounds to film for Camp View, and on the return back up, I saw an orange landscape, but it didn't look this big. So I don't know if this is what I was looking at. My question is, are there forest roads or something that take you to the bottom of this thing? You can't get to it from the park. I'm guessing you'd have to go through national forest land or something, maybe drive up through there. And can you explore down there on foot? Because like I said, there's no hiking trails that I know of that take you down there here. And that would be the best, because like at Bryce Canyon, the best part is hiking down, in my opinion. I'm gonna walk over here briefly and see there's a historic cabin, I think, that dates back to, I don't know, in the 20s, 30s maybe. And it's just neat to see things like that, just to think of the people that were coming up here back then. The brochure says back in the early days, in the 1930s, Franklin D. Roosevelt designated this a national monument. And then people would come up here. I think you had to get to Cedar City by a rail car, and then they'd have a bus or something back then that would take people on tours not only up to here, but to Zion and other parks. So this would have been one of those stops back in the day. Probably a lot less accessible than it is today, though. We got paved roads now that take you up here. And just like places like the North Rim of the Grand Canyon, this place is not open all year round. I don't know if you have a snowmobile or something, if you can get up here, but it's pretty much May through October. And then that's the end of the season. Probably because it's just freezing and covered in snow up here for most of the year. Or for half of the year, I should say. Forgot to mention, I was talking to the ranger. I was asking her if I was pronouncing things like a Utah, like Panguitch, and she said I got that correct. So when I was surmising on that on another episode, she says bingo, and then I started laughing and I said, well, then I can tell you I don't pronounce other things like you people. Like I say Zion, you guys say Zion. And she laughed. She's like, tomato, tomato, who cares? I said, girl, that's what I am saying. But what she doesn't know is people out there, a couple of you like to give me a hard time about that stuff. So I told her I'm gonna have everybody send email to her to complain. I am kidding. If I don't see that little cabin soon, I mean, it was okay. It's not like the coolest thing ever. It's just, I like to show things like that. Check on the status year by year, but we'll kind of come out here and get one more view of the rim, and we may just turn around. It was definitely worth coming over here a little bit more because you get views down in there, but like I said, I'm not going to get too close to the edge here. It's just crumbling rock, very loose, very dangerous, but you can see lots of beautiful color down there. Not just orange, but like rusty reds and yellows too, and a little bit of green in there with some of the vegetation, the pine trees that are in there, and it just makes me want to get into those crevices and explore. I'll just take you out there and we'll turn around. By the time I quit saying I'll turn around, we're gonna be at Spectra Point before we know it. But I wanna do new stuff. I think this will do just fine. See what I'm saying? We were over there when we started, or maybe up there, I don't remember now, and you're looking kind of straight out. And now we're looking at it more from the side, or almost face on in some places, and you can just see all the really beautiful coloration, all the different layers. Might have to kind of attack this layer by layer. Those top layers there kind of have an orange stripe through them. It almost reminds me of like a Navajo rug design or something like that, a Navajo tapestry. And then when you kind of go underneath it, you got rusty red, and then you got more of that kind of like striated, like the white. I don't know if that's gypsum mixed in with that, or what accounts for that. And then kind of coming closer, you see a lot more hoodoos in your field of view. So basically, I just reviewed the map, and you got 4 overlooks here, and that's the gist of it. You drive along the rim, and you stop and see the overlooks, and they even call it, that's very much like the Bryce Canyon Amphitheater, is what we're going to be seeing here. The orange look with hoodoos and things like that. I also think we're going to probably see a sign for elevation. I recall some up the road, but I think we're over 10,000 feet, and that's why it's so dang cold up here. There's a lot more traffic passing through here than the first time I came, but it is a Saturday, so we're not far from like Cedar City, Utah. And I wonder if a lot of locals, a lot of people from Utah seem to be up here. Maybe just for a weekend drive. I dig it. I'd do the same thing. So basically, you've got an overlook here. They were building this building here the last time I came here. I think this parking lot was closed, or one of them was closed. Maybe it's Sunset Overlook that was closed. I think this is Point Supreme is the first one, and yeah, so a lot more people than when I was here the first time. Okay, I thought it was going to be a very desolate day, but apparently not. That's all good though. We're being a tourist today too, so I'm not too worried about it. They appear to be building a new visitor center. It's closed, but it's beautiful. No bathrooms, they just have porta potties. But I guess it's Point Supreme. So this should be our first official overlook. We were in an unofficial one, more on the trail earlier, but this is Point Supreme, which I don't recall coming to last time. So I think it was closed. I think they had this whole thing closed because they're doing construction. There's our elevation. We're at 10,350 feet. One thing you really can't tell from back where we were is that it curves in a lot right here. Absolutely beautiful. You really can't see very well where we were. It's kind of obscured. I think in the very beginning we were right there, but it kind of curves behind. But we walked out that ways a little bit so I could look back this ways. And it was a good view, it's worth it. And there's your Spectra Point again. You get a better view looking to the side from here. We already got a few views looking off that way, which is spectacular, but really the star of the show here at this Point Supreme is this direction, where you really get a look at the amphitheater. almost lost ours simultaneously, but it does get windy. Basically, it's kind of like you're at the Grand Canyon or Bryce Canyon. If you enjoy those kinds of things, just chilling out on the rim with awesome views, and this is totally for you. Well, there you have it. This is the first official overlook out of 4. Point Supreme down, and I gave you the little bonus over there where we were pondering Spectra Point. Gave you some info there. So let's get back to the car and we'll continue. I'm at the entrance to the campground here at Point Supreme. I think it's Point Supreme Campground. Just at a Camp View drive-through. Had to rearrange cameras and change some batteries, and now we're ready to pick back up with our tour this morning, or afternoon now. I think it's afternoon. 12:39, and the current temperature is 62. So the temperature hasn't really budged at all. I think the next thing we're looking for as a next overlook, I believe, is Sunset Point, followed by a Chessman Ridge. So we got 1 out of 3 done, so 3 more to go, and then you're off the hook for the rest of the week. You can go about your business. I think it's pretty soon. Unless you can't get to it via parking lot, that might be too. I don't know if you have to walk. We'll find out. I think there's an official point here. I bet you it's coming up. On the map, it doesn't look far after the campground. They're pretty close together. It's not a huge amphitheater, as you saw. Campground was okay. I like being up here at high elevation, but I can tell you, sites looked mighty close together, and they not too private. And saw some like on hills too, I thought, but we'll review it. I have to watch the footage, but first impression, I'd love to stay up here. Campground was full, and I didn't even account, am I going to be able to find a parking spot every time? Probably. This is Sunset View, Sunset Point. This is a quick one, it looks like. We'll just look at it from the car. What do you think? No, I'm just kidding. We have to get out and officially visit all of them. That would just be wrong. Looks like there's little trails too you can do. But I'm gonna just go out to the point while we have it to ourselves here. Hopefully. This one's kind of right smack dab in the center, it would seem. Wow, this is actually a really nice view. Kind of looking straight on is what this one's all about. Straight on down, far, far down. We're at 10,350 some odd feet right now. And it's windy. So far, if I'm being honest, not my favorite of the points, although I do like this view. You don't get as much orangey goodness looking this way. For me, it'd be just so much fun to be walking down there in those little canyons. Might just be easier to do commentary inside the truck. It is windy out there. Might have to leave my hat in the truck for the next couple spots. The next overlook, which would be 3 out of 4. This might be a quicker episode. I don't even know. I'm not sure how long I've been filming. I haven't been keeping track. I always say, oh, it's going to be short, and then it ends up being a half an hour long. So I think we could use a 10-15 minute video or two here and there. But let's continue. So there is a trail here at this, I think there's a trail at each place. I don't know where the one here went to. I'm more just kind of concerned at this point, rather than hiking on these trails, just getting a sense of the overlooks. And I think one of these days, I would like to either camp up here in this park after I review my footage of the campground and I can get a decent campsite, or stay at one of the National Forest campgrounds that I visited up here. There were a couple nice ones that I liked. There are a couple that I didn't care for too much though, to be honest. One thing I think I can critique about this park is their signs are so tiny. It's hard to read those things. But this is the third overlook, Chessman Ridge overlook, with some trail. Maybe if it's an easy trail, we'll walk a little bit on it out here and there, but pretty good amount of people. But every time I get out, everybody's pretty spread out, so it doesn't feel crowded, and I would by no means call this a crowd compared to other things we've been doing and seeing. But so this is 10,460 feet. We're actually going up. Are we gonna get to 11 by the end of this thing? It's almost like we're almost at the heights of the highest peak in Arizona at this point, which is Mount Humphrey. That's 12,000 something, I think, isn't it? I have a picture of myself standing at the sign on that one, so maybe not quite that high, but we're up there. I know my hair must look awesome. I took my hat off. I don't care. I'm gonna lose my hat if I'm not careful, and I can't really operate my cameras easily if I got one hand on my head like this the whole time. So we're gonna do this right. All right, so Chessman Ridge overlook at 10,460 feet. Oh man, I'm glad I took my hat off. Woo, it's windy. Ooh, this is nice. This is a nice overlook. You get views in both directions from here. I can barely operate the gimbal. The wind's blowing my arm around. You probably could see that. Jeez Louise. Calm down, wind, calm down. Pretty sure I saw a marmot. Do you guys have marmots up this high? Because there was a big fat something. It wasn't a squirrel. See it? See it? It went in those rocks over here. I saw its butt. I'm kind of glad I wasn't originally going to set up the GoPro in the car and drive between the points, but I'm glad I did, or else it might be a weird video because I only feel like I'm spending a couple minutes at each of these points. Anyway, Chessman Ridge was cool. I liked it. So what do you guys think about Cedar Breaks? Is it worth a visit? Or would you pretty much skip it and just go to do Bryce? It probably depends on your timing, how much time you have. I imagine if you're planning that Big 5 Utah National Park family vacation, places like this probably have to be removed from itineraries for time's sake, which I would understand. But it's a shame because it's something quite special too. Very unique and neat. And is this our north? I wonder if this, so there's a yurt? Can you rent yurts here? Will I even find parking here? Looks like there is. I think this is it. Our last, is it our last one or is this something different? This is, no, it's not. It's just a trail. Alpine Pond Trail. Another trail that I would love to do, but I don't have time. So this, I was thinking this spot came up a little quick for where it looked like it was on the map. I was like, it can't be already, can it? And it's not. It's neat driving up here too, because you really wouldn't even know there's this giant chasm right off to the left, would you? Imagine you were like one of the first natives that wandered into the area, or an early explorer of any sort, and you're walking this way and you just all of a sudden come across that. You're like, well, guess I ain't going that way, but wow. Okay, so here we come. This looks like this is probably the last overlook. And now I feel better because I came back to Cedar Breaks like I said I would. And now we've got to see the whole thing from side to side. I know there's the peak. There's this peak you can hike up to. It's actually above the tree line, it looks like. It's not that far away. I wonder if you can get views of this from way up there. Oh my God, the wind is like... I'm gonna do my best here, folks. I am, but I might just go take a peek with the cameras and come back and commentate, and we'll take the hat off because we don't want to lose that. I bet this would be amazing in winter. It's not uncommon for more than 20 feet of snow to fall during one season. So I wonder if you can come up here, I guess, but you need a snowmobile or something. They made it sound like it closes, but I don't know if that's true. That would be what I'd like to see. All right, North View Overlook, 10,435. Is that the highest one? I haven't been keeping track. All right, I might talk in the car. This isn't gonna work well, is it? Look at the wind in the grass. It's pushing me. Trying to get behind some of these trees really quick because my goodness, is that some hard wind. I wanted to take a look at this view, which I think is beautiful. The last view we'll study on There's on the map there. There's the name of that peak. I don't know what it is, but apparently you can hike to the top. And I think I see a road, at least going part of the way. It's almost not fair to say it because you can't really take your time and enjoy and study every aspect of it. But just with my quick visit, I'd say this north view is probably the least of my favorite views, just because looking back across didn't have the same oomph to me as being over near Spectra had looking this way. But it just could also be that the wind is souring the experience so much that I just didn't want to be out there, to be quite frank. It's brutal. But yeah, you get some, it's beautiful. So that's the thing, is like, sitting here like trying to compare things that are all beautiful, right? So there's not one that's not worth seeing. This will blow your mind just like the other ones. But if I had to say, if I had to pick a least favorite, it would probably be this one. And that Chessman Ridge was the one that's kind of calling out to me. Although Spectra and hiking out to the other side and maybe in the future going further on those, that might be my favorite. I love Spectra Point. That first trip was amazing. So I can tell you, based on my experience, if you come here, you want to do it all. I'd say you want to do a hike or two. If you could spend the night, you could probably do most, if not all of it. But the only regret I have is you can't get down in there like you can at Bryce. Thanks, friends, for joining me on this one. Maybe I got out in front of one of you guys and you never even knew about this place, and those are my vain hopes that I introduced you to something new today. But regardless, I hope you enjoyed the tour and enjoyed the various views, and now you've seen it from all of the different angles too. And then, like I said, go check out our other video on this, the hike, and tell me what you think of that one. Thanks for watching, everybody, and subscribe if you haven't done so yet. And make sure to tell your friends about the Cactus Atlas. And we'll be back with another video next week. Thanks again for watching. Bye-bye.